Good morning. You are listening to your hometown station, KHTS, AM 1220 and 98.1. We're in studio again today with Terrell Edwards.
That's right.
We introduced him, a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, that's
Terrell,
right.
we introduced you to Santa Clarita. And also, we are fortunate enough to have on the phone with us legendary songwriter, music producer, hit maker, Mr. Preston Glass.
Yes, sir.
And he's
Hello.
associated with names like Whitney Houston,
Whitney.
Aretha Franklin,
Aretha.
Lionel Richie,
Lionel.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth.
Those are all some big names, big hit makers. So welcome, Mr. Glass, Mr. Preston Glass, to our new show here. And
thank you for having me, Sharon. Thank you for having me, Terrell.
Oh, Preston, it's so good to have you here, man, with us. And you know what? Let's just jump right in, if you don't mind. But I mean, you and I, we both excited about Soulful Splendor Volume 2.
Yeah, that's a collection that was just released today.
Today.
And it's April 22nd was the release date, and we already got a whole radio station in Europe that's playing the whole album. Isn't that something?
Oh, man. That's
and
great.
I know there's some great artists on the album that we were fortunate to put on there, including yourself.
Oh, really? Oh, well, that comes as a shock to me.
not to me.
Really?
Oh, man. Well, that's awesome. But, you know, there were some others on there, too, that you said, the Spinners, Karen White. Man, it was just,
Yes.
It's
I guess you could
star-studded.
say half of the album is have some established artists that I was fortunate to work with. You mentioned the Spinners, Ollie Woodson, who was one of the lead singers of The Temptations.
Yeah.
Of course, Karen White does a duet with a gentleman named Eugene Cole. And one of the things I'm really proud about is my daughter is singing the first song on the album.
That's
she
right.
sings. So,
Wow,
Shamia
that's
Burns,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So it's a family thing then.
Yeah, it's a family affair, as they say.
Yes, proud papa moment, man. We've got a chance to do quite a few work on quite a few projects here in a short period of time. I want to thank you for allowing me to do that.
Like, Terrell, what are some of the things that you've worked on with Preston?
Oh well, there's a guy. You remember the song "More Than a Woman"?
Yes.
Okay, the Tavares group. Well, Chubby Tavares is the lead, right? And we just recently worked on his, and then there's a gentleman from Tower Power that's working on. I don't know. Should I be giving that away, Preston? Am I?
No, that's
spoiling?
fine. That's
Okay.
great. Blow that horn, brother.
Yeah. But man, I mean, it's been incredible just working with you, and we work so much when we are together. I don't get a chance to ask you about working with Aretha and Whitney, and man, that's incredible. Lionel Richie, one of my favorites. I mean, what is it like to work with that group of people? I mean, they're all kind of larger than life to us.
Yeah, what's interesting about a lot of those artists that are on my resume, but also you mentioned three of my favorites. They're all just regular people, and they just happen to have extraordinary gifts, And while I was doing the work, that's all I was really focused on, and getting to know them. As some of these people have become friends, like George Benson is one of our good friends. Johnny Mathis is a friend. A lot of these people that I was fortunate to work with became people that became part of our lives. So, in that respect, I guess when I look back at the work, I'm like kind of amazed myself. But because a lot of these artists became friends, it's just part of my life.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I shared something with Sharon here just a couple minutes ago. Well, we were in studio. You and I were in the studio a couple weeks ago, and you said, "Hold on a minute, you got a phone call," and you came back. You're like, "Yeah, that was Ray Parker Jr." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, Ray's going to play. A lot of people don't know. They mainly know him from Ghostbusters, but he's one of the greatest guitar players around. You know, he started at age 15 playing for Stevie Wonder, and many artists. So he's actually just doing a session for me. He's you know, semi-retired. He's not really retired, but he doesn't really have to work. But he loves playing guitar. So every time I can call him for a session, he's happy.
Yeah, great.
So I have a question, Preston. You're dealing with people that we have on a first name basis, like Lionel. Everyone knows who we're talking about. You say Whitney, we know who you're talking about. Aretha, we know who you're talking about. And now you're working with Terrell Edwards. How did that happen? And tell me, you know, having worked with, you know, these hit makers, talk to me about now working with Terrell Edwards and kind of how that happened.
Yeah, I was
and why
to meet Terrell back, I guess it was August of last year. Two friends of mine introduced me to him, Christian Bell Navis and Rob Mullins. And, you know, I get introduced to artists all the time, songwriters all the time, and they want me to check them out. And I'd say 8 out of 10 times, maybe 9 out of 10. It was just average. But I could tell right away from what I heard, this vocalist, this songwriter, was beyond normal. Very, very good. And I was like, wow, let me see about meeting this individual and see if there's anything there. And we hit it off. I gave him a couple of songs that, one in particular that he really took to and that we wanted to finish up and do it the right way. That was the song 100%. So, because we wanted to do a really positive message song, and I felt that this was needed in these times that we were living in. So he jumped right on that bandwagon, and we hit it off personally as well. We have a lot of the same values, so it didn't hurt that he sang great. And a lot of the work that we're doing right now, he's helping me with other projects, singing background because he has that phenomenal voice. So I'm very fortunate to meet an individual like him. And one other good thing, you mentioned first name basis. He's got a good first name.
He does, yeah.
It's not like John or Steve, you know.
So we can go with the Lionel and the Whitneys, Terrell.
Right, Terrell.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Speaking of
or Cornelius.
Hey.
I didn't want to give that.
Are you outing him right now?
You let the cat out the bag. You mentioned 100%. You think maybe this is a good time for us to let people hear it? I know it's in rotation here. But,
yeah. We're back in studio with singing sensation Terrell Edwards, and on the phone with us as well is the songwriter, producer, hit maker to huge people that we know in the music business is Mr. Preston Glass.
Yes.
So I don't know how you sit still for that song. It's a toe tapper for sure, or people clapping along, or it's a great song.
Yeah, you should see Patty over here. He's still
moving and grooving. Yes, sir.
And Preston, you are correct. Terrell does have an excellent voice.
Thanks.
Yeah. And he has his own sound, which is great. You know, sometimes you meet people that, especially today, it seems like a lot of the younger artists, they maybe they were taught that, well, to make it in this business, you got to sound like somebody. But I came up in an era where a lot of the singers, they made their own way by sounding different. And if you remember back in the, well, maybe I'm older than everybody, but back in the day,
don't think so.
You had, singers that, everybody from Stevie Wonder to Barry White to Dolly Parton to, well, you mentioned the group Ambrosia, who I know, David Pack and Ambrosia, they were different. and Glenn Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
All these people had their own sound, and they all made it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like today, well, you got to sound like somebody to make it. And so that's what I appreciate about Terrell's voice. Is he's got his own sound.
Wow, and thanks, man. And you know what I really enjoy about that song. It never gets old. Not just is it a toe tapper, but also when we think about, I think it was maybe 6 months ago, you gave me that song, and man, even it's still relevant today. I mean, we're talking about what's happening at the Ukraine last year. This time we were talking about COVID, and look, it's still a good story, still a good message.
Yeah, and that I think is always a good message. Just giving your best to humankind. I mentioned Marvin Gaye. We see how his song, What's Going On, is still relevant today. We're talking about 50 years later. So that's the great thing about music is if you write the right kind of song, it can last forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
What kind of recommendations do you have for people that are trying to get in this business or think that they have a talent as far as writing music, having it produced by someone like you, and getting it on air? What do you recommend for people? Like you said, you had, a lot of people come to you, and 8 or 9 out of 10 just aren't ready, and then you have a one person like Terrell Edwards that you're introduced to, and he's ready to go. But
that's a good question.
how do you talk to those other 8 or 9 people?
Well, I would first and foremost say, be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try and copy nobody. Of course, that's can be an oxymoron because at the same time, please study.
Mm-hmm.
The great. Study good music and listen to it and learn something from it. But then at the same time, then apply it to your own style, your own vibe, because everybody in this universe has their own drummer that they dance to. So I think those artists that do their own thing, they're the ones that carve a little niche for themselves in the industry.
Yeah. Hey, I got one question for you. It kind of goes back to something you shared with me a few months ago, but I know you had a mentor, and then that mentor introduced you to Johnny Mathis, and you showed me a YouTube video of Johnny Mathis walking out on stage. Can you talk a little bit about what that felt like?
Oh, well, I think if I'm thinking correctly, it was just Johnny Mathis. I was fortunate to, after a few years of doing a few things, I was fortunate to be called by a record label to. Actually, they asked me the question. They didn't say, we want you to produce Johnny Mathis. They asked me, would you be interested? I know you're young in working with an older artist like Johnny Mathis. I said, are you kidding? I said, I grew up. My mom would play that music all over the house, when I was growing up. I said, yes, please. So it was very daunting to, I was not really starstruck by a lot of the artists that I had worked with previously. But when I met and started working with Johnny and started hearing him singing right in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, there's that voice.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little daunting at first, but then I realized right away that my job was to give them an answer on how they should sing or how they should approach this part or how. In my case, the reason he asked me to work with him is he wanted a more contemporary sound, according to what he said. Little did he know I was a big fan of his, older style. So I guess because we met in the middle, it worked out well. He was happy. So much so that I guess on that little clip I showed you, he mentioned my name.
Yeah.
And those that have seen Johnny Mathis in concert know he doesn't talk much at all. When he goes on stage, he might do 3 or 4 songs, and then he'll finally say, hello, everybody. By the way, my name is Johnny Mathis.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he'll go back to singing like 4 or 5 more songs. So it was great to, like, right in the middle of him going into this song, he mentioned my name and my talent, and so it was a big compliment.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're producing music for someone you're in studio, what's a day like? What does a day look like you're in the studio with Whitney Houston?
Well, every artist and every day is different. That's for sure. But since you mentioned Whitney, now I didn't produce Whitney. I wrote for her, played piano on about 8 of her songs, including "How Will I Know," "I Want to Dance with Somebody." Where do broken hearts go? I played on all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I left out musician, like that you play an instrument too. So sorry, I left that out. I apologize.
Oh, sorry. Well, that's how I kind of got my start as a producer. Terrell mentioned that I had a mentor. I actually had a couple of mentors. My first one was a guy named Tom Bell. His name is spelled Thom Bell. He was a producer and writer for people like the Stylistics and the Spinners, Delphonics. He wrote songs like "Bet You by Golly Wow" and "You Are Everything."
Wow.
And he was one of the greatest arrangers of all time.
Yeah.
And in fact, he was the first producer to win a Grammy for Producer of the Year when they opened that category back in 1974. Anyway, he was the guy that signed me when I was 18, fresh out of high school, to a staff writing position at his publishing company. And a lot of my day was watching him arrange, watching him go in the studio and produce these people. And then, of course, I would play on some sessions. And then my second producer, mentor guy was Narada Michael Walden. A lot of people call him Narada Michael Walden. But he's the guy that produced Whitney and Mariah Carey. And so I was able to, going back to that question that Terrell had about Whitney, it was amazing to me. I was there in the beginning before she was, quote unquote, Whitney. She was just really Sissy Houston's daughter that was related to Dionne Warwick, and she was a model, and she was 19. So on her debut album, nobody knew that she would be one of the greatest singers of all time, but everybody that heard her knew she was great. So one of the things that impressed me about her is, without her being egotistical, she knew she was great. She had an air of confidence, and she had a big smile on her face after she heard herself sing a particular take, like on "How Will I Know" when she sang that song. I think it was like 2 takes. And she came in and heard it, and she said, "Don't I sound good?"
And she did.
I was like, wow. We didn't know she was going to be who she became, but we knew, wow,
oh, man, that tone
she's
was
going to
something
be
else.
something. And sure enough, she was.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here. Don't go away, anybody. And you're listening to, and I'm going to name this show right now. It
Okay.
says, name the show. Terrell and Sharon Show.
Oh, yeah, the Terrell and Sharon Show. I'll take it. Yeah. That's got a little ring to it.
First name thing.
That's right.
That's right. Well, yeah, the first name thing, right? Going along with the theme. Right. This is 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. It's your hometown station, so we'll take a quick break and stay tuned.
And you are listening to the Terrell and Sharon Show. I'm Terrell Edwards, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS.
Your hometown station.
Our guest today is my friend, Mr. Preston Glass, legendary songwriter and producer, Preston Glass. Man,
Hello.
Man, you know what? I want to mention to you, pretty soon we've got a show coming up, right around June 18th.
Actually, June 18th.
June 18th at the Canyon Club up here in Santa Clarita. And you know a group by the name Ambrosia, right?
I do. Preston, you know them too?
Yeah. The main guy in the group, David Pack, worked on a couple albums on Patty Austin, and another one that I worked on as well.
Oh yeah. So
Well, I guess they're on tour, and they will be up here on that date, June 18th, and Terrell is going to be opening for them. So I know he's thrilled about doing that.
absolutely, and they've got a string of hits as well. One of them, "How Much I Feel." I love that song, man. What's another one? What's one of your favorites, Sharon?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You're the Only Woman? Is that one of theirs?
Which one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is.
You mean
Yeah,
your-
the
Biggest
list of.
part of me. I love that.
Yeah,
song.
biggest part of me.
Biggest part of me, love that one.
Those are those all out of the 70s, late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, Preston. I mean, do you see a change in the music where it's actually coming back towards that good 70s
Melodic and yeah.
Are you seeing that? How are you feeling about the music these days?
Yeah, there's some good music out there. I think the change is more where the industry is concerned. In other words, back in those days, we're talking about the 70s and stuff, the cream always rose to the top. And so the charts would reflect pretty much the best music out there because they didn't have other ways of really getting it. Today, of course, you can release your own music. People can release their own music. And then the powers that be, the labels, they're not the same. They're kind of few and far between, and it's more money driven, and it's not so much creatively driven. So some of the best music that is being made today, I think, is more underground. You have to kind of look for it. And it may not be on the radio, or it may not be on the TVs or everything, but it's there. You just have to search for it.
Which is such a change from before. I think I'm a little partial to the way it was before, actually, when it was just presented
just
to
be
us.
right in your face, yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
I don't even know where people go and look for that stuff. Is it Spotify? Is it?
Yeah, believe it or not, it's all out there and things like that. Whether it's what's that one? There's Spotify, YouTube, and
Apple Music.
Yeah.
what is it? No, there's one that a lot of younger artists they use. Well, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank.
See,
but
that's
It's a Deezer.
to the point. It's hard to find.
it's harder to find. You kind of dig for it, but when
Yeah.
you find it, it's like, wow, who's that? And then sometimes those people do end up rising to the top.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't desire to rise to the top because these days, so an independent artist that sells, let's say, 10,000 albums, and they sell them for $10 a pop, and they get to keep most of their proceeds. That's a good day, at the workplace, because you don't have to sell 1 million albums to make money these days. On the other hand, you almost will never sell 1 million. There's a few that might, but see, back in the day, we're talking about the good old 70s. Well, one of the negative things about that is big artists might sell 1 million, but the record company will keep most of it. And they say you have to recoup your marketing expenses, so you almost never receive a dime.
Yeah.
And so unless you write the song, which a lot of times you can get paid directly from BMI or ASCAP. So back in the day, a lot of those big artists, they made money on touring and not so much on the record sales.
Right.
These days you can sell a lot less and still make some money.
So on the phone with us is legendary hitmaker, writer, producer, and musician. I'm going to add that in there. It's Mr. Preston Glass. And you know what? And in studio is Terrell Edwards, and the two of them work together on many songs,
Yes.
many projects that Preston's doing. So let's listen to, since you mentioned Ambrosia earlier in that show that's coming up at the Canyon. Patty, can we play will you pick one of those Ambrosia songs that
Yeah,
we
let's check it out.
Let's listen to that. You're listening to the newly named Terrell and Sharon Show.
Yeah, I like it.
And I'm Sharon Bronson, and you are on 98.1 and 1220 AM on your hometown station, KHTS.
Yeah, you are listening to us, but also our guest today is legendary producer, songwriter, Mr. Preston Glass. Preston, thanks for hanging around with us, man. Now,
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, now we know that song Ambrosia. I don't know if that's their best song, but man, they got some great ones. I tell you that. That's one that comes to mind when I hear the word Ambrosia. But when you listen to that music, when you listen to music as a producer, songwriter, do you find yourself like analyzing, or can you really enjoy it? Like, how do you listen to music?
Yeah, I can't help it, but I don't do it. I don't do it with
Like
so
malice?
much of a critical ear. I do analyze it, but like just now when that was playing, I was listening to those beautiful background vocals. I was
Me
like,
too.
"Ah, they put a lot of thought into. I mean, they didn't just throw it together. It's like
Right.
so. Yeah, I listen hard, but I listen with appreciation.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's exactly the same thing that my ear went to, is like those background vocals. Like, whoa.
And I think this is going to be a really good show.
Yeah.
With you opening, Terrell, and with Ambrosia. So tell us about what are some of the songs that you're going to do in that set when you open for them? What are some of those?
Oh, well, you know what? I mean, 100% is going to be on the show.
Okay.
Just so you know. But I love the 70s and 80s music, so we'll be doing some covers as well. Might throw a little Lionel in there, maybe some All Night Long in there. But there's a song that has always been one of my favorites. It's from a group called Chicago. You guys remember Chicago?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How many albums did they have? Isn't that the name of the albums? They were the number of the album?
Yeah, you know, the original name of that group was Chicago Transit Authority.
Yep.
Oh, is that
And
right?
and Clyde Davis signed them back to Columbia Records back in the day, but they wisely changed it to just Chicago.
Yeah. Well, there's a song on that on their group of songs, and that Chicago did, and we'll be doing that song. But I tell you, I can't do it alone. I need a female vocalist, and I'm just hoping I can find
Is
someone.
that for background?
Well,
Background
you know what?
vocal song? What's the song?
They're gonna background vocals also,
Okay.
but they're gonna be helping me sing that song. You know, it's
At that
called-
show, at the Ambrosia show.
At the Ambrosia show.
wow,
And
okay.
it's called "You're the Inspiration." You remember that one, Preston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Now, see, that shows how old I am. I'm going way back. But you're going to their... Chicago had like 2 or 3 different incarnations, and you're my inspiration. That was a David Foster production. That was back in the 80s.
Wow.
But of course, Chicago was around in the 70s, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, that particular song, I mean, we'll be doing that one. And I don't know, Sharon, do you sing, Sharon?
I do, but I probably shouldn't, and no one should probably hear it. So.
Oh, okay,
no,
okay.
yeah.
Well, Sharon's out. So, but I really hope we can find some hometown talent right here in Santa Clarita to help.
Oh, that's cool.
Help me do that song. So I don't know how could we get in touch with someone? You got any ideas?
Well, why don't maybe you have people submit an audition. Maybe it's a live video.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Nothing produced, I don't think. I think you want to hear them live, right?
No. You know what? When you just do it with your phone, it's easier and it's just more genuine. Let's keep the hard work out of it and just have fun with it. But yeah, if someone could send a video of singing a couple bars of that song.
You're the Inspiration?
You're the Inspiration by Chicago to the station here.
Sure.
Anybody got an email?
I think was it info?
Info at
Hometown Station. Is that what it is, Patty? Yeah.
Patty's the know-it-all here.
Info at Hometown Station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
.com. So
Yeah, or, well, yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll have to get that and get it and from Jerry and have her tell
Make-
us where we can send it.
make
so.
sure we do it. But-
Yeah, make sure that they get here so you
Yeah.
can listen to them, and maybe you can
Yeah.
share those with Preston too and get his opinion on a couple of those.
Yeah. But the show is
Submissions.
June 18th, and we got time to figure this out. But man, I would love if someone right here in Santa Clarita could help me sing that song. You're the Inspiration by Chicago.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
So so that'll be one that you do in that set, and you're doing 100%. Tell us about the 100% Genesis. How is it that where has it been released? I know it's here. I know they're playing it in rotation here, but
Yep.
talk about what has happened with it so far.
Yeah, well, Preston, you can chime in here, but I tell you, we know where it's been released in the UK. Started there last year, right? Was well received, and now we're back on a compilation here for Soulful Splendor, right? Fine.
Yeah, it was released worldwide, digitally, but the focus, marketing and promotion-wise, was in the UK, and it went in the top 10 at one point, and then I guess for the entire 2021 year, it was in the top 100 out of all the songs released that year in the UK. As far as the
Wow.
song chart. So
Yeah, real blessing.
it did, pretty good for first time out there.
Yeah. And then how are things going with? Are you seeing? I know we just released it today, but are you seeing anything with the markets with the new compilation here now? Or is
This
it?
compilation, Soulful Splendor, it just was released today, so normally you don't see nothing for a couple of weeks, but I already found out that one station is playing the whole album today.
Oh, that's
Very
great.
excited about
Wow.
it, so which means 100% is getting heard again.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. Great. So I mean, you'll get a chance to hear that song with us, Ambrosia. We're gonna do some Chicago. We're gonna be doing some. Throw some covers in there like some Lionel Richie, and man, we're gonna have a great time on June 18th.
Sounds good. Let's take a quick break, and
Okay.
we'll come back and we'll revisit that show and maybe some other ones that you're doing also.
All right.
You're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS and 98.1 FM. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
And you are listening to the Terrell and Sharon Show. I'm Terrell Edwards, 98.1 FM.
Sharon Bronson.
All right, AM 1220 KHTS. Sitting in and chatting with my friend, Mr. Preston Glass, legendary songwriter, producer. Oh man, this has been a great hour. It's been a great hour.
Thank you for being with us for the whole hour, Mr.
I
Glass.
appreciate it. Yeah, went by like a flash.
Yeah, absolutely it has, man. You know what, Preston, there's a couple other places that we're going to talk about where we're doing shows. But before we do that, I want to make sure that all of our listeners know where they can send in those videos, okay? Because
For the audition for You're the Inspiration.
Yeah, You're the
Okay.
Inspiration. We're going to be doing that one at the Canyon Club when we open for Ambrosia June 18th, and you can send those to Jerry. Jerry's she's gonna handle this herself. So
That's awesome.
JERI@hometownstation.com.
awesome.
Jerry at hometownstation.com.
What a great opportunity
Yeah.
to be on a stage with professional musicians and help open for Ambrosia. They're such a big group.
Yeah, and just make it a 30-second clip, man. You know what? That's. I think. Preston, would you say you kind of know if someone has what you're looking for after about 30 seconds?
Yeah, I mean faster than that now.
Oh yeah.
Really, sometimes just.
He's a pro.
Yeah, I mean, you might find an exception once in a while, but usually right away.
Mm-hmm.
Right away.
Now, other than having the chops as vocally, what other things would you say someone you're looking and say they've got it, or they've got that wow factor? What else? What other components are there?
You know what I've heard of
the
is
presence.
attitude.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Presence, attitude. Somebody. Of course, we're talking about live performance, especially, or if they want to be just a radio or background singer, that's a whole nother thing. But when you're talking about live, you have to have a presence, attitude-wise, personality-wise, and it can come across without even singing a note. But if you can sing and have the personality, you usually have half the stuff.
We're getting the cue here from Patty that we have just a couple minutes left. So, Terrell, why don't you tell us, besides June 18th, tell us about, you have another show coming up in May.
Yeah, May 19th at
Okay.
at Vibrato. It's Herb Albert's Vibrato, and Herb Albert, another legend, but he's got a great club.
A&M Records, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And we'll be doing our unforgettable show there. We'll be doing a tribute to some of the greatest jazz and soul artists of all time. Going through the catalog, also doing some original stuff. But May 19th, if you're in the area, you want to hear some great music, you want to get some great food, because they've got some great food.
They do.
Yeah.
I have been there, and it's a nice place. It's a, like they say in the old movies, it's a classy joint.
Yeah, Preston, you've been there a couple times, haven't you?
Yeah.
Man?
Quite a few times. That place was built for music and also ambiance, but great food too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, May 19th,
That hour did go by really fast.
super fast.
So June 18th, May 19th.
That's right.
Okay.
May 19th, Herb Albert Vibrato. June 18th, Canyon Club, Santa Clarita. That's right.
So thank you everyone for listening to the Terrell and Sharon show.
Sharon Show. That's right.
It's all about music.
All right.
And this is your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS 98.1. And our special guest, thank you so much, Mr. Glass, for being on with us for the full hour. And we so appreciate your talent and listening to all those things that you've done that we've enjoyed over the years.
Check out that Soulful
Thank you
Splendor.
so much.
Soulful Splendor, Volume 2, out right now.